स्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयम् करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करम् लोकशङ्करम् सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वसुदेवसुतम् देवम् कंसचाणूरमर्दनम् देवकी परमानन्दम् कृष्णम् वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् With the abundant blessings of our Pereva, we are continuing with our study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the three Smriti texts of Prasthanatraya. Prasthanatraya consists of Upanishads, which are Shruti. Smriti is Bhagavad Gita. And third is Brahma Sutras of Vyasa. We are fortunate to be able to go through at least some of the basics of how Shankara expounds Bhagavad Gita. So in chapter 3, we have seen that he has raised some very, very nice, important, significant points. One is that if you run away from Karma Marga and pretend to be an aspirant in the Jnana Marga, you will be a Mithyachari, a hypocrite. That is what would have happened to Arjuna. If he had retired to the forest, as he said, as a Bhikshuka, he would have still been thinking of Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, Yudhishthira, the war, Draupadi, what would have happened to all those people, etc., etc. And his passion for fighting would not have allowed to rest him. So, that is what Mithyachara was all about. Then similarly, Bhagavan emphasized the importance of not resorting to akarma, inaction. You have to do action as ordained in Vedas and Shastras, no getting away from it. And in what spirit you have to do, he has been explaining in various ways. The latest explanation was do it in Yajna spirit, dedication to Ishvara, whatever you do. Not only the Vedic prescribed Yajnas, all your actions, do it in the spirit of Yajna. Now, when you perform the actual Yajnas, what happens? He was describing that. Now, we saw yesterday, Annad Bhavanti Bhutani Padjanyat Anna Sambhavaha. Yajnat Bhavati Padjanyo Yajnaha Karma Samudbhavaha. How the performance of Yajna results in Bhutani, even the generation of living beings. The living beings get generated starting from the cycle which started with Yajna. Now we are saying Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi Brahmakshara Samudbhavam Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam. Now he says, he stopped with karma. Now karma is coming from where? Karma Brahma Udbhavam Vidhi. Vidhi means know. Know that karma has its root in Brahma. Brahma means Veda. Here, Brahma has got several connotations. Here, the connotation is Veda. As we have seen, Veda is the life breath of Parameswara. So, Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi. No karma to be sourced from Vedas. That means only Vedic karmas are known as karmas, in short. Brahma Akshara Samudbhavam. Brahma comes from where? That is, Veda comes from where? Akshara Samudbhavam. Akshara is Paramatma, the one who never undergoes decay. Akshara. Kshara is decay. So, Veda comes from Paramatma, and Veda tells you what are karmas. And karma is really leading you to yajna. And yajna leads finally to anna. Anna leads to living beings creation. Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishthitam. Tasmat, because of the cycle which I have described, Brahma Sarvagatam Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam. This Brahma, the Parabrahma, is Sarvagatam, all pervading. We saw its sweep. The very life breath of Parabrahman became Veda. From Veda, Karma emanated. From Karma, we are able to do Yajna. From Yajna, we get Vrishti from Deva. From Vrishti, we get Anna. From Anna, we get living beings. So the whole cycle, everywhere, the fact that Brahma is all pervading is proven. Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma. But this Sarvagatam Brahma, this all pervading Brahma, where it is to be found. See, if something is found everywhere, how to locate it? Where to locate it? For our purpose. Nityam Yajna Pratishtitam. It is established in Yajna always, every day. Nityam Yajna Pratishtitam. So the importance of Yajna has been mentioned in these shlokas. And as we said yesterday, Yajna is one aspect. Yajna's one aspect is performance of those yajnas which are described in detail in Vedas, which we are unable to do these days. The second aspect is those 5 Pancha Mahayajnas, which we saw yesterday, arising from Pancha Suna. There are 5 defects which we have, 5 defects of killing living beings. Manushya Yajna, Bhuta Yajna, etc. Now those 5 at least, which are also known as yajnas, if you continue to perform, you have at least done something. That is why he says, Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam. Evam Pravartitam Chakram Nanuvartayati Hayaha Adhayur Indriyaramo Mogham Partha Sajivati. Very important shloka. So has been quoted by many scholars very frequently, very well explained. Evam pravartitam chakram. This cycle which has been set into motion this way. Now when Shankara explains this, he says, Itham Ishwarena Veda Yajna Purvakam Jagat Pravartitam. That is how he is explaining it. This chakram is Jagat Chakram, the world cycle. The cycle applies to the entire world. How it started? Ishwarena. It was started by Ishvara. How? Veda Yajna Purvakam. Veda Yajna Purvakam. Based on Yajnas as described in Vedas. Evam Pravartitam Chakram. Yaha na anuvartayati iha. On this earth. Yaha na anuvartayati. One who does not follow this chakra. Chakra has been explained so far. So your duty to perform yajnas has been well explained. How it results in a cycle. So if you break the cycle, if you do not follow this cycle, adhayuhu indriya ramha mogham partha sajivati. Hey Partha, saha, that person who is not following this cycle, adhayuhu, he is a papatma. Adha means papa. He is a papatma. He is greatest sinner. Indriya aramaha, he rebels only in sense organs. He has forgotten his duty of performing yajna. See, yajna is, as we have seen, has got a wide sweep meaning. Not only the yajnas as described in Shastras, yajnas which are 5 Pancha Mahayajnas to be performed every day, and Yajnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha, Bhagavan said. That means whatever you perform it for the sake of Ishvara. That is how Karma Yoga has to be developed. So everything you perform is also towards Yajna. So if you take the broad meaning, you have lost the intent of the discourse and you have gone to satisfying your sense organs. Indriya aramaha. You are reveling in Indriyas. You are a papatma. You are a sinner. Mogham saha jivati. Saha mogham jivati. Mogham means vritha, in waste, in vain. He lives in vain. He said earlier, Mithyaacharaha, for the person who leaves karma and go to sannyasa. He is none other than hypocrite, he said, isn't it? He is none other than hypocrite, he said. Similarly, here he says, this fellow is none other than a life lost in vain. That means he has not gone to the karma jnana marga. He is supposed to be in karma marga, but he is nowhere in karma marga. So he has lost his life. Yaha karmani adhikritah sanna na anuvartayati. This is Shankara's explanation. Na anuvartayati, he says, na karmani adhikritah sanna. You are entitled to do karma. You are not entitled to do jnana. And still you don't follow this cycle. He is talking about such people. Now, here Shankara says, from 4th shloka up to 16th shloka, how karma should be performed. आत्मज्ञान निष्ठा योग्यता प्राप्तेः तादर्थेन कर्मयोग अनुष्ठानम् अधिकृतेन अनात्मज्ञेन कर्तव्यम्. This is the summary. आत्मज्ञान निष्ठा योग्यता प्राप्तेः. In order to get the qualification for getting Atmajnana, in order to that is the aim. Tadarthena, for that purpose. Karma Yoga Anushtanam, you are following the path of Karma Yoga. Adhikritena Anatmajnana, you are qualified only for this because you are Anatmajna. Atmajna, you are different from Atmajna, one who knows Atma. You are knower of Anatma. Kartavyam, this has to be done. This is how Bhagavan has explained to us. This chakra has to be maintained at all times by all people who are in karma marga. That is why he is saying one who does not maintain is adhayuhu. He is a papatma. He is the indriya ramaha. He rebels in sense organs. He has no intent to follow karma marga. Indriya ramaha. Saha mogham givati. His life is lost in vain. कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षर समुद्भवं तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम् एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं नानुवर्तयति यः अघायुरिन्द्रिया रामो मोघं पार्थ स जीवति यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते. Now, as opposed to this Indriya Rama fellow, a fellow who is wedded to Karma Marga in all its intensity, he is being described how he will finally reach Atmajnana. So that goal is being, see, Bhagavan uses all kinds of psychological pressure tactics. That Shankara himself admits it in so many places, this fact. In fact, some places he says, Bhagavan says this for the sake of attraction. He says that. We will see that in some places. So like that, now having explained that this fellow is useless, you should also say what this fellow gains, isn't it? Who is on the right path. The attractiveness of the path has to be explained. So he says, finally you are going to get Atma Jnana. It's not a small thing what you are getting. So we intent on this path. So finally what you will reach, he is explaining now. Yastu Atmarati eva syat, one who is reveling in Atma. That will be your final state. Yastu means, on the other hand, we described the fellow who is Indriya Rama. Now we are talking about a person who has traveled far in this Atma, in this Karma Marga and reached the state of Atma Jnana. Yastu, that is why, tu, on the other hand, yaha Atmaratihi eva syat. Atmaratihi eva. he revels only in Atma. Eva is the emphasis. He does not care for sense organs. He does not care for the pleasures of the sense organ, pleasures of the world. Because he is getting maximum pleasure in Atma. Atma Ratriyavasya. Atma Triptascha Manavaha. Yaha Manavaha, that human being who revels in samsara, who revels in Atma, and who is satisfied with Atma. See, reveling is one thing. We all revel in various worldly matters, but we are never satisfied. Reveling is one thing and getting satisfied is another, because reveling will lead to temporary pleasure. After some time, you are bored with it, you need something else. I mean, all of us know that. But here, there is nothing like that. You are ever satisfied with Atma. You don't need anything else. There is no change required. There is no boredom. Atma triptacha manavaha, atmanyeva cha santushtaha. The tripti is something which is temporary again. Reveling was temporary. That is why he is using three different words, mind you. Ratihi, triptihi, santushtihi. Three different stages of how mind it gets influenced by happiness. First was it enjoys certain pleasure, no doubt. Second is it gets satisfied. Yes, I was looking for this pleasure, I am now satisfied. But that is also temporary. But permanent satisfaction, santushti is permanent satisfaction. You are content. You don't need anything else. You are very, very happy with what you are doing. That is atmanyevacha santushtaha. You are ever happy with what you are doing. Relatively permanent. Now, this for us to understand, commentators explain this as acquisition of wealth. Because if you acquire wealth, you are content, at least for some time. At least for some time. So this is santushti. Of course, not to be compared with acquisition of wealth, just for us to understand. Some commentators give this parallel. But this is nowhere near them. This is a permanent contentment. Atmanyevacha santushtaha. For this purpose, if you have reached that state, that jnani state, having traveled all through the karma marga and having reached the jnani state, because you are ever reveling in Atma, you have forgotten your worldly duties, Vedic ordained duties. You started with that. You do your duties properly. Bhagavan was explaining. Evam pravartitam chakram. He was even threatening us that if you break the cycle, you will meet this consequence, etc., etc. Now he says, you have you have a right not to perform your duty. Tasya karyam na vidyate. He has no duty to perform. Karyam is duty, something which should be done. That is karyam. Akaryam is something which should not be done. So, for this man, there is nothing which should be done because he is reveling ever in Atma. Now we will see in later shlokas how jnanis also look as if they are doing worldly work as opposed to what is mentioned here because they want to help us only for out of compassion. That he is going to explain later. But that's not a must. They are entitled not to do any karma. They are entitled to revel in Atma. You will reach that state if you follow the instruction which I have been giving. So this is the attraction. This is the final goal, which is so attractive. That is why he is bringing it right in the middle of the discourse. नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थो नाकृते नेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः. He is explaining it further. This Atmajnani. नैव तस्य कृतेन अर्थः न अकृतेन इह कश्चन. इह in this world. तस्य for this Atmajnani न कृतेन अर्थः एव. He has no purpose to what has been done. He does not bother about what was his earlier life. He is a jnani. He can see all his past lives. He can, of course, see what he has done during this life also. But he doesn't care. It has no purpose. There's no time for all. He is ever reveling in Atma. It is very difficult for us to understand what the state is, but that is the state. He has no purpose in what he has done before. Okay, what he is going to do. Na akritena ihe kaschana. Akritena, what is yet to be done. Kritena, what has been completed. Akritena, what is yet to be done. He does not care for both. If something happens to him tomorrow, so tomorrow he feels very hungry, he has to go for a bhiksha. He doesn't get bhiksha, he remains hungry for one day. He doesn't care for it. He knows it may happen tomorrow. He doesn't care for it. He is least bothered about such things. So, Naivatasya Krite Nartho, he has no purpose for what has been done by him. Na Kritene Hekaschana, na Akritene, what is yet to be done, he is not worried. Nachasya Sarvabhuteshu Kashchidarthavyapashrayah. Okay, he is dealing with other living beings, Sarvabhuteshu. He does not bother about what he has done. He does not bother about what he is going to do. But every moment he is in a society, he is dealing with other living beings. Even in forest, if he lives, there are living beings around him. If he lives in a town, there are humans around him. So, what is his relation to those living beings around him? न च अस्य कश्चित् अर्थव्यपाश्रयः अर्थव्यपाश्रयः व्यपाश्रयः means depending on something. Artha means for the sake of some material. Depending on something, some living being, for the sake of some material, he does not have this kind of quality. Nacha, kashchit, any type of dependence for any type of material, any type of dependence for any type of material, including bhiksha. He may not get bhiksha, he may not get water, he doesn't care. Let the body die. He doesn't care for the body. Does not mean he will not protect his body, because protection of body till natural death comes is a bounden duty for a human being. So he will do that, but he will not go out of the way. If something happens, let it happen. Body is body is not mine. I am Atma. So, Nachasya Sarvabhuteshu Kaschit Arthavyapaschayaha, for the sake of material, depending on a living being. Sarvabhuteshu, this applies to every living being. It's not as if this rule applies to only a group, another group it doesn't apply. No. He makes it so clear, you see. So here, Shankara is at pains to explain that he is quoting from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. But this is not for those who are still on the path of Karma Yoga. So he is explaining that clearly. All these explanations, Sloka 17 and 18, the final goal who has reached. Don't take it for yourself like today. So he is explaining that. From Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, he is quoting, Etam Vedamatmanam Viditva Nivritta Mithya Jnanaha Santo Brahmanaha. Those who have been spending their life in search of Brahma, Nivritta Mithya Jnanaha, they have got rid of false jnana. Atmanam viditva, they have known Atma. For them this applies. Mithya jnana vadbhihi avashyam kartavyebhya putreshanadibhyo vyathaya. This is not to be confused with mithya jnana vadbhihi. Those who are still in the state of false jnana, those who have putra eshanadibhya. Three types of ishana we have seen before: putra eshana, vitteshana, etc. Lokeshana. That is three types of attachment which a normal person has for the progeny, for the son, for the wealth, and for what the others will say about me, reputation. These are three basic attachments to the world. So you still have those attachments. So you have to get out of those attachments. So you should do karma marga. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, he's quoting from there. Atha bhikshacharyam sharira sthiti matra prayuktam charanti. Those who are jnanis, they still do bhikshacharya only for maintaining the body. Sharira sthiti-matra prayuktam charanti. Natesham atma-jnana nishtha vyatirekena anyat karyam asti. Tasya karyam navidyate, he said, na? That is coming from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Atma-jnana nishtha vyatirekena. Other than the unique work of getting established in Atma Jnana. That is the only work he does. Karyam nasti. Anyate karyam nasti. There is no other work. This is what is confirmed in these slokas. This Yastu Sankhyaha Atmajnana Nishtaha. So you have reached that goal which the Jnani was pursuing in Jnana Marga. The same goal you have reached. That is the purpose of saying all this. To make Karma Yoga attractive. That is, you are not losing anything. Yastu Sankhyaha Atmajnana Nishtaha. That you are reaching the same goal. यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तिश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थो न कृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः तस्मादसक्तः सततं कार्यं कर्म समाचर असक्तो ह्याचरन् कर्म परमाप्नोति पूरुषः. Now he is summarizing the whole thing. While summarizing, he is naturally emphasizing the important goal. Tasmat, for all the reasons which I have expounded so far, Satatam Karyam Karma Asaktaha Samachara. This is summary of how you should do your karma. Karyam Karma. Only that karma which has to be done. Never do akaryam. Something which is prohibited, never do. But you must do what is ordained, karyam karma. Satatam, always. There is no exception to this. Whether you are awake, whether you are sleeping, whether you are dreaming, whether you are in your house, whether you are outside, in whatever state you are, this rule applies. Satatam. How you should do that karyam karma? Asaktaha. That is the most basic thing. You should try to get out of your attachment to the karma as well as to the fruit of the karma. Asakto khyācharan karma paramāpnoti purushaha. Now he is emphasizing why he is saying asaktaha. If you do in the state of asakta, in the state of non-attachment, should continue to do this. Asaktaha, he means emphasis. Asaktaha hi acharan karma. If you keep on doing in the state of non-attachment, Purushaha param apnoti, the human being attains param, the supreme Bhagavan, supreme Parabrahman. The supreme Parabrahman he attains by following this course. And what that Atmajnana state is, he has described in the previous two slokas. Now he is sort of assuring that you are losing nothing simply because you are now in Karma Marga state, not in the Jnana Marga state. You are losing nothing. Do as I am instructing you. This is a very clear, beautiful, straightforward instruction. Now, has anybody followed this track? You are telling so much. Has anybody attained this? Is there an example? Yes. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim asthita janagadeha lokasangrahamevapi sampatyan kartumarhasi. Karmanaiva hi. Following this karma marga only. Eva. He. Emphasis. Janakadeha samsiddhim asthitaha. People like Janaka have attained the final goal. Samsiddhi is final goal. That is realization, self-realization, Atmajnana. Now, Janaka and others. Now, when Shankara explains this, he says, Janaka Ashwapati Prabhritaya. People like Janaka and Ashwapati. Janaka, of course, all of us know, the king of Mithila, the father of Sita. We all know him. How he was a great jnani, even when he was a Raja, even when he was a Raja Rishi. Now, the very fact that Bhagavan mentions only his name in this context to give an example of a man who traveled on Karma Yoga path, he attained jnana. Only one example he gives. Of course, Shankara adds Ashwapati. So there are some examples, no doubt, more than these two also. But as examples, they have given one or two. So we all know about Janaka. Janaka, there is a story. how to explain in what state he was. Janaka, as usual, was listening to a lecture on Vedanta from Rishi Yajnavalkya in his palace. So this lecture was going on. Janaka was surrounded by other sannyasis, and lecture was going on. Suddenly he found that at a distance, his palace, this was outside the palace, so his palace was engulfed in fire. He saw that. Anybody who want a king, he is a king. Anybody would have, what he would have done, he would have run, leaving the lecture aside, to perform his duty as a king, to protect the palace from the fire. Did Janaka do anything like that? No. He continued to listen to the lecture with full intent, as if nothing has happened. Whereas the sannyasis around him, the sannyasis, mind you, they ran. They ran for their lives. They ran for protecting whatever little belonging they have. They have no belonging. Sannyasis are supposed to not to have any belonging. Whatever little piece of cloth, etc., which they have, they wanted to protect it from fire. They ran away, leaving the lecture aside. Then somebody asked Janaka later on, why did you do this? He said, I don't care about fire. I don't care about palace. I care only for Atma Jnana. And here I am reveling in Atma Jnana. I am listening to great Rishi Yajnavalkya. What more do I need? There is a fire officer who will take care of the fire in the palace. There are people. Oh, I should go and waste my time. That is Janaka. Now, Ashwapati was also a great king. Mind you, he is giving examples of kings, not Brahmanas. Janaka, Ashwapati are all kings, Kshatriyas. So Ashwapati was also a great king, like Janaka. What is great about him? This is coming from the Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad. Ashwapati story comes from Chandogya Upanishad. 5 great Vedantic rishis, 5 rishis, they wanted to improve their Atma Jnana. See, that is a search of, because you will keep getting doubts, you keep getting distracted. It's not easy. The Jnana Marga is also not easy. So there are distractions, there are problems. So these people were facing those problems. They were living in forest, they were all rishis, given to sannyasa only. But like sannyasa, if they were not real sannyasis, they were following the life of sannyasis, Vikshukas. So they went to another Vedantist called Uddalaka, because he was known to be a great scholar. They went to him and asked for clarifying their doubts. Then Uddalaka, as soon as he saw all these 5 people, he knew that these are great people, they know everything. Whatever I know is nothing more than that. But there is another person who will be able to clarify. Look at the sense of humility, sense of purpose. So Uddalaka told these people, no, I don't want to answer your questions. I may not be competent. But there is another competent person. I will take you to him. In fact, I will also, in this bargain, get the doubts clarified. So he took all these 5 to Ashwapati, to the great king. These people are Brahmanas. Uddalaka and the other 5 rishis are Brahmana rishis. All of them went to Ashwapati, bowed before him, and pleaded for Atma Jnana. And Ashwapati taught him Atma Jnana. This story comes in Chandogya Upanishad. So that is why he is mentioning it. Janakaha Ashwapati Prabhritaya. Now, these people are the examples for you to follow. Loka sangrahame vapi sampashyan kartumarhasi. Now the question will come. You said earlier, a Atmajnani is reveling in Atma, tasya karyam na vidyate. You said earlier, isn't it? He has nothing to do. Why Janaka was doing his job as a king? Why did he not retire to the forest, handing over the kingdom to somebody else? He could have done that, no? Isn't it? Anybody in his position would have done that. He didn't do that. He was a king right till his last breath. Why? Now he's saying that. Now this shloka has been interpreted in 2 ways by Shankara in his own way. He himself gives two interpretations. One is Janaka was a born jnani, assuming, we don't know, that's not mentioned anywhere. If he was a born jnani, why he was in karma marga? He was pursuing his role as a king, etc., etc., right from birth to death. Why? Because this is the reason. He wanted to help the world. Loka sangrahame api sampashyanne kartumarhasi. Loka sangrahameva api. So at least for the purpose of helping the world. Loka sangraham is helping the world. For the welfare of the world. At least for the welfare of the world, sampashyanna, looking at that, looking at the welfare of the world, kartum arhasi. Even if you have become a jnani, you can still do your work. This is what he says. That is suddenly been lost. That is what he is saying. So whatever that also throws a responsibility on people who lead the society. Yeah, let us forget about the Jnana Marga and Karma Marga. This can be interpreted in general manner also. Anyone who leads a group of people should be a role model for them because that group will follow him. Yati yati acharati, whatever he does, they will follow. Now, let us look at one Subhashitam which I took in this context. This is coming from Mahabharata actually, it's Subhashitam. It's a very, very nicely put. This is the argument which has come up now. Tarka pratishtha srutayo vibhinna naso muneryasya vacho pramanam dharmasya moolam nihitam guhaya mahajano yena gatasya panthaha. Now, why people should follow a particular person? Why not they go to Shastras and Vedas? Isn't it? Instead of following a particular person, very nice argument here. Instead of following a particular person, why not go to the root, the source? Follow the roots. Why not do that? That is difficult. Why it is difficult? He is explaining. Tarkaha, apratishtaha. The arguments which are given in those Shastras and Vedas are not constant. There is a lot of conflict among the Shastras. Shastras are meant for explaining what is not clear in the Vedas, and they themselves are so confusing. Tarkaha, apratishtaha, srutayo vibhinna. Even Vedas are different. They speak in different tones. Naso muneryasya vacho pramanam. Okay, we forget about Veda, we forget about Shastra, but we are told that Muni is not the Pramanam. So Pramanam, his words are not final authority. Dharmasya mo. What is the dharma? Is not you do that. You follow the path shown by a great man. That is the route. Mahayano yena gatastha panthaha. This is what Mahabharata teaches us. This does not mean don't follow Veda or Shastra. It only means when you are in doubt, when there is a conflict of various provisions in the Shastras, seek the advice of a great man. Now, this is a very, very difficult advice to follow in the present advice for asking anybody any question and following what he says, because that habit is rampant now. We find all kinds of people giving all kinds of advice. They are not qualified. Please don't do that. This is not to be followed in its bare skeleton in this present society. This was okay in the days of Mahabharata, when there were so many great people available all around. Now here, no great person is available. Nobody is expert in Shastras or Anushtana is available. Very difficult to get such people. So be careful while consulting anyone. Always consult authoritative sources. Now, I mentioned it in one of the earlier lectures. My family follows a certain custom. My father never performed Shatabhishekam. My father never performed Shatadurga, so I will not perform. Such people are there. Very foolish. Similarly, there are people who listen to others' advice. They have not done this, I will also not do this. These are family customs, etc., which are wrongly imposed on us. So be careful to shift the right from the wrong, the dharma from the adharma. Very difficult. Tarkaha apratishtaha, he himself says. So, when you are following Mahajano Gatastamata, you should be a real Mahajanaha, then only you should follow him. So, it should be taken with a pinch of salt in the present circumstances. But this is in the context of Janaka and others. This is in the context of Shreshtaha Janaha, he says, na? Shreshtaha Janaha, the one who is very great. So in that context, this quotation is apt. नमे पार्थास्ति कर्तव्यं त्रिषु लोकेषु किञ्चन नानवाप्तमवाप्तव्यं वर्तयेव च कर्मणि. Now take me as an example, he says, Bhagavan says, here he is talking as Krishna. He was all along talking as a personality representing Parabrahma, a manifestation of Parabrahma. All along, he is going to talk, continue till the end like that. Here in this particular sloka, he is showing his form as Krishna. Of course, this can also be extended to all other avatars, this statement. Wherever Parabrahma manifested, this statement will apply. Hey Partha, name kartavyam asti trishu lokeshu kinchana. Kinchana kartavyam. There is nothing to be done by me in all the three worlds. I can keep quiet. I have taken birth as Krishna. I can remain quiet in sitting in a corner. I can do that. Because there is no rule which says I should do this. Because I am Bhagavan. Kartavyam na asti. There is nothing which should be done by me in all the three worlds. Kinchana. Nothing. Nothing means nothing. Non-avaptam avaptavyam vartaye vacha karmani. If I have to do something, I have to attain something, isn't it? Na avaptam. There is nothing which has not been attained by me. So why should I do a karma? There is nothing to not attain. Avaptavyam, yet to be attained. There is nothing not attained, there is nothing yet to be attained. He is making it absolutely clear. That's why he is using two words. Non-avaptam, avaptavyam, na anavaptam, na avaptavyam. Na applies to both. There is nothing which is yet to be attained. There is nothing which has not been attained by me. By doing a karma. Still, vartaye vacha karmani, I am continuously working, engaged in some karma or the other. In fact, one of the commentators says that if you put together all the karmas of all the Pandavas, all the Kauravas, put together, that is one unit, let us say. Bhagavan's, Krishna's contribution was at least 100 times. This is what the commentator says. He was ever engaged in karma, always, 100%. So, Varta Yevacha Karmani, I am engaged always in karma. Why? The previous Loka Sangrahameva, Sampashyan Kartumarhasi, because for the well-being of the world, I am engaged in this karma. That he is making absolutely clear by giving his own example. यद्यदाचरति श्रेष्ठः तत्तदेवेतरो जनः स यत्प्रमाणं कुरुते लोकस्तदनुवर्तते न मे पार्थास्ति कर्तव्यं त्रिषु लोकेषु किञ्चन नानवाप्तमवाप्तव्यं वर्तयेव च कर्मणि. यदि ह्यहं न वर्तेयं जातु कर्मण्यतन्द्रितः मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः उत्सीदेयुरिमे लोका न कुर्यां कर्म चेदहं शङ्करस्य च कर्ता स्याम् उपहन्यामिमाः प्रजाः. Now he is expanding further on that idea. In these two slokas, he is saying, if I don't perform karma, which I am very much entitled to do, because I don't need anything from any karma, I can sit quiet in a corner. Having taken birth as Krishna, taken avatara as Krishna, I can keep quiet, sitting in a corner. If I do that, what will happen? Yadi hyaham na varteyam, if I do not engage in karma, jatu karmani atandritaha, jatu means at any time. At any time, if I am not engaged in karma, atandritaha, without any let, without any laziness. Tandra is laziness. If I don't engage myself in karma without any laziness, without any indolence, all the time I engage seriously in karma. If I don't do that, mama vartma anuvartante manushya partha sarvashaha, hey partha, they will look at me and they will also become lazy. Mama vartma, the path which I am following, Manushyaha anuvartante. All people will follow that path. Sarvashaha in all respects. That means they will remain continuously lazy. They will not do any work because Krishna is not doing work. He is supposed to be the ideal person. When he has chosen to remain quiet, I will also remain. I will not do any work. Ussideyorime lokaha nakuryam karma chedaham. Now he is explaining further. Nakuryam karma chet aham. If I don't do any karma, what will happen? Ime lokaha ussideyuhu. All these worlds will get destroyed. Because nobody will do any work in all the three worlds. Trishu lokeshu, he said. So in all the three worlds, nobody will do any work. So all the world will get destroyed. Ussideyu. Sankarasya chakartasyam upahanyam ima prajaha. Destruction means what? Varna Sankara will take place. He's not saying specifically Varna Sankara, he says Sankara. Sankara means confusion. Sankarasya chakartasyam. I will be the source of Sankara. I will become a source of confusion. People will not know what is dharma and what is adharma. People will marry outside their varna. Varna Sankara will take place because Varna Sankara is always associated generally with Varna Sankara. Confusion among various varnas will take place. Confusion between adharma and dharma will take place. Confusion between what is right and what is wrong. Who is right and who is wrong. All kinds of confusion will take place. Then what will happen? Upahanyam imah prajaha. I would have killed all these people. Imah prajaha. All these people. Upahanyam. I would have been the cause of their death. Do you want me to be like that? I don't want to take that blame. So I am always engaged in karma. So this is an invitation for a person to keep doing his karma in the right way till you reach jnana and to choose to do karma even after you reach the state of jnani. If you are inclined that way, that is what he explains in so many shlokas and in all its aspects. Karma has been defined by what is karma? Nakuryam karma chedaham. What karma he is talking about? Because he has no prescribed karma for him. Because he is Bhagavan taken the form of human being. So you cannot bind him with karmas which are prescribed in Vedas and Shastra. What karma he is talking about? Lokasthiti nimittasya karmana, he says, for Shankara's explanation. The karma which will help in the stability of the world. Sthiti. Vishnu is given the job of stability, protection of the world. So I would have not performed that job if I had remained quiet. Because lokasthiti nimittasya karma. That karma I keep on doing. So he was engaged in karma throughout his life. That is what he is now explaining. यदि ह्यहं न वर्तेयं जातु कर्मण्यतन्द्रितः मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः उत्सीदेयुरिमे लोका न कुर्यां कर्म चेदहं साङ्करस्य च कर्ता स्याम् उपहन्यामिमाः प्रजाः सत्तात् कर्मण्य विद्वांसो यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत कुर्याद् विद्वान् तथा सक्तः शिकीर्षुः लोकसङ्ग्रहम्. Now this is another very, very nice, beautiful aspect of what we are discussing. He says, now we have exhausted the idea that a jnani should also do karma if he is interested in welfare of the world and if he is inclined to do karma. That point has been well established. He showed his own example. In what way he should do the karma? Now that is being explained. Should he adopt the jnani's way or should he adopt the common man's way? He should adopt the common man's way. Don't adopt the jnani's way. Now that also he has explained. Sakta karmani avidvamso yatha kurvanti bharata. He bharata, yatha avidvamsaha saktaha karmani kurvanti. Yatha, the way Avidvamsaha, those who are not jnanis. Avidvamsaha should be interpreted as those who are not Atma jnanis, ajnanis. Those people, saktaha, they are full of attachment to the karma and their results. Not asaktaha, they are saktaha. The way those people do, those ajnanis, the way those people do the karma with full attachment, the same way, tatha, kuryat vidvam, vidvamsaha, vidvams, those who are atmajnani should also do this work the same way. But they will do with attachment, you will do without attachment. Asaktaha, that is the only difference. They will do with attachment. You will do the same karma, you will do it the same way as a common man does. But internally, you will be non-attached, whereas that fellow you will be attached. Asaktaha chikirshuhu lokasangraham. Then why I should do the karma if I have no attachment? Lokasangraham chikirshuhu, for the welfare of the world. Chikirshuhu, desire, he is still having a desire. What is the desire? Welfare of the world is his desire. Chikirshuhu means desire to do something. Desire is supposed to be the greatest enemy for the jnani, but he still retains a small desire for helping the world without any attachment. If he fails in this attempt, he will not feel sorry. If he succeeds, he will not feel happy because that is the hallmark of a jnani, not feeling happy, not feeling sorry. Because he is ever happy with his own Atma, Atman Neva Ratihi, we have seen. So, this is the way he will do his karma. Sakta karmanya vidvamso yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvans tatha saktaha chikirshuho loka sangraham na buddhi bedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam yoshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. This is further explanation of how he should do karma. While he does the karma, he should not go and teach a person who is not qualified something about Atma Jnana. That is why even the Gita, at the end of the Gita discourse, he says, don't go on teaching this Bhagavad Gita to everyone. He says that. He says Arjuna. So, similarly, this Jnani, when he does this karma, na buddhi bedam janayatu ajnanam karma sanginam. Those who are attached to karma sanginam. Ajnanam, they are still in the ajnana state. Don't go and create confusion in their buddhi, in their intellect. What is the confusion? Shankara explains nicely. Maya idam kartavyam, bhoktavyam cha asya karmanaha phalam. Iti nishchaya rupayaha buddhehe bhedanam chalanam. What is the buddhi he is talking about? That buddhi is Maya idam kartavyam. This job must be done by me. The fruit of this job I must enjoy. This is the normal common man's approach. So don't disturb that approach. Iti nishchaya rupayaha buddhehe bhedanam, to create a difference, create a distinction. Vedanam cha chalanam, to create a movement in their intellect, create an instability in their thinking. Don't do that. Na buddhi vedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam. Then how should I do? Yoshayet sarva karmani vidwan yuktaha samacharan. Vidwan, the jnani, he should do. He should make them do. All Yoshayet means make them do. Sarva karmani, all karmas, he should make them do. Yuktaha samacharan. This man also should appear as if he is attached. Yuktaha samacharan. Swayam tadeva avidusham karma yuktaha abhiyuktaha samacharan. This is the explanation by Shankara. Swayam, even he. Tadeva avidusham karma, those ajnanis karma, yuktaha, they do with attachment. He should also do it same way. Externally, he will look as if he is attached to the karma. Now, if we look at our acharyas, that will become very, very clear. We don't have to look far. Our acharya parampara is the clear example of this approach. They get into all details of every minor detail of every shishya, every disciple, every bhakta. As if they are very much attached. Are they attached? This is what he is saying. Yoshayet sarva karmani. He should make them do all karmas, though he is a Vidwan. And samacharanna yuktaha. He should also do his activities as if he is attached. This is the beautiful way of how a jnani will do his karma. How Janaka was doing his karma. He performed the marriage of all his daughters as if he is a normal grihastha. He showed that he is a jnani. Did he ever show, does it ever come in Ramayana that he was a jnani? He showed himself as a jnani, as he is superior, he is different. No, that is what he is saying. Sakta karmanya vidvamso yatha kurvanti bharata kuryat vidvan tatha saktaha chikershuhu loka sangraham na buddhi bhedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam yoshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. We stop with this. We meet again next Saturday at 7:30 p.m. IST as usual. Any questions?
If anyone has any questions, unmute. Anyone has any questions, kindly unmute and ask, sir. Don't think we have any questions, sir.
Okay, so we close for the day. We meet again next Saturday, 7:30 p.m. EST. Namah Parvati Pataye Har Har Mahadeva Sarvatra Govinda Nama Sankirtanam Govinda Govinda Sri Radharajeshwari Jaya Jaya.
Thank you everyone for joining. We'll see you again next week. Har Har Shankara, Jai Jai Shankara.